Well, thank you for mentioning those in the storms last night. And in fact, I wanted to start with that tonight. I know many didn't experience the power outages, but we had several others that did. We had our power went out for 14 hours yesterday. I guess it came back on about 11:30 today. Found out that it was because a tree decided to fall across Rue Lane Road. And so this morning it was still across the road. And so we had to figure out another way to get to school. And so it was interesting. We took a left out of our subdivision and we had to go into, down through the hollers and figure out ways to get around. The moment we get to the first car that I see, it was a Pathfinder. That is the first car I saw as I'm turning left, going a different route, different direction, and I see a Pathfinder. And I asked Gabriel to take this picture for me. He had no idea why. And it just caused me to think about a different tree. A different tree that caused a disturbance, that caused a need to find a different route. And that was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because man and woman, because mankind sinned, their way to the tree of life was blocked. They had to go a different way. And there had to be a Pathfinder. And that Pathfinder, in fact, the word that is used in this verse we're about to look at, 2 passages in Hebrews, means Pathfinder. And so if you will, look at Hebrews chapter 2, verse 8. Second part of, or right in the middle of verse 8, says, "Now in putting everything in subjection to him, he left nothing outside his control. At present, we do not yet see everything in subjection to him, but we see him who for a little while was made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. For it was fitting that he, for whom and by whom all things exist, in bringing many sons to glory, should make the founder, the originator, the pathfinder of their salvation perfect through suffering." You see, Jesus is the one we have to follow. And it was interesting, this Pathfinder was going the very route that we were. They were on the same journey. And we followed them all the way out. And we've got to understand that we've got to follow Jesus. He's the trailblazer. He's the pioneer explorer. He's the Pathfinder. And that path led him up a different path to a different tree that didn't fall, but it was raised, where he was lifted and raised and crucified for you and for me. In Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the Pathfinder, the founder, the pioneer explorer, the trailblazer, the perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God." Only through Jesus can we find our path to get to heaven. In our Wednesday night classes, we're focusing on the I am statements, and one we're going to focus on soon is the fact that Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me." What he's saying is, I'm the path to the Father. And so only through Jesus can we find our way through this life. We've got to follow our Pathfinder. And repentance is turning from the path that we normally go down and doing an about-face and going in the opposite direction to make sure that our path is aligned with the Pathfinder. And that's not talking about our journey to school. It's talking about our journey to heaven. Is your path in line with the Pathfinder, with Christ? If it's not, we have an invitation tonight to encourage you to get right, to get on that path with him. Maybe you need to do that about face tonight. If we can encourage you, if we can help you in any way, please come while together we stand and as we sing.
Have thine affections been nailed to the cross?